Divorced men, listen up. Or if you know somebody who's been through a divorce, you might want to send them this video. Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chishu Zed.
Men, and this message is for all the divorced men. I need you to listen to me. And the reason why it's for divorced men is because we don't do our due diligence. Most women, when they get divorced, they really do their due diligence. Most of us just fall by the wayside. There's a reason why they tell you to keep your divorce decree forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going to the story. So my buddy, his father recently passed away. And while he was in hospice or while he was transitioning, his father gave him power of attorney.
Right.
He said, hey, son, you can just handle everything and handle my affairs. And he was a veteran as well. So the father went to the bank and he realized he had all the account numbers and access and stuff like that. His father gave it to him. And the life insurance policy, his father had a lot of life insurance policies, with work and things of that nature. So long story short, his father, had bank accounts that had a pretty substantial amount of money in it.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to go to the funeral home. The funeral home said, well, he paid for a plot and everything. We have that and everything, but we need his wife's signature for her to sign off this. And he was like, what do you mean? He said, they have a 2-plot. So we need to, her signature. He was like, my father has been divorced for over 30 years.
Uh-oh.
And I don't really talk to my mother. We don't have a very good relationship. He said, well, in order for us to do this, we need her signature. All right. So he calls his mother. That triggered his mother to start scheming. So then his mother went to the bank where she knew where my buddy's father was. He was a very methodical man.
Right.
And wiped out all the accounts that he had. Wiped them out, took all the money out, all of it. Right.
Wow.
Then went and said, well, let me look at the house that he lived in. It was paid for. And was like, well, I want to sell it. He put it on the deed. Most of us men that we call providers and everything else, when we do get married, we want to make sure that the wife has access to it because we don't really think that this is going to end. We think, well, it's going to end with me in the ground. So let me make sure you put, on everything.
Let's highlight that real quick. He's talking about a generation who, even more so than men today who still value marriage, they valued marriage to the point where they were like, hey, I am for sure going to end this with me being in the ground, buried next to my wife. Like I've heard somebody once say, all marriages end either in death or divorce. Those men believed, I need to leave something for my wife in case I pass before her. They didn't think of the what ifs or prenups the way today's generation of men who value marriage do. They, when confronted with a failed marriage, probably took it a lot harder than men of this generation. Let's keep listening.
When you get a divorce, you forget that you got to go back around and circle back at all those other places and get it taken care of and get it removed.
Right.
So his mother wiped out all of the accounts, And thank God that, VA pays for pretty much some things and whatever. And he had some money saved up to bury his father the right way.
Wow.
But all the life insurance policy, he had a couple of life insurance policies for him, the kids and everything, because he wanted to make sure his kids were taken care of in his death.
Right.
She was like, I'm taking that.
Evil.
And I got to say, this made me look at my stuff, and I'm going to make it personal. I realized that my ex-wife was on a lot of stuff. I did not even know none of the stuff that I put her on. I forgot. You have to go to Social Security Administration and you have to let them know that you're divorced. I didn't know I was supposed to do. I thought it just happened, just it happened circumstance. I didn't even know. I just thought, once I get a divorce, it goes in some system and everybody gets it. No, it doesn't. You have to let the state you were married in know that you're divorced. Sometimes some they have it and some they don't. I had to call my 401k. She wiped out his entire 401k. She did this in a matter of weeks, right? And he couldn't, because he had a power of attorney, they gave him some information, but he never took his wife off of anything, his ex-wife off of anything.
Wow.
She wiped him clean. wipe them clean, right? And now the son is trying to fight this. You imagine you have to fight your mother for stuff that's not right. And even the lawyer said, unfortunately, yeah, you got a divorce decree, but because of certain laws or whatever, I don't understand too much. You may, with the government, you may end up saying, hey, you know, she doesn't deserve this money. She gets survivor benefits. And, you know, you can fight that. But the rest, the life insurance policy and everything else, you can't do anything about it. You can try, you know, and with the house, because she was on the deed and the house is paid for, it's technically her house. And he has to fight his own mother for that. So men, what I'm saying, when you get a divorce decree, just don't let it sit somewhere. Hey, do your due diligence and go to these different places,
right,
and get these things done. Like I said, with me, I didn't know. I had to check some stuff and I'm like, holy crap, I didn't know I was supposed to do this.
Wow.
And I'm taking off to get these things done because I don't want my son to have that level of hindrance. You have to understand something. You don't know people. Right. And it's not saying that your ex-wife or your whatever will do anything. I'm not saying that, but you don't know what level someone will be in when they see a certain substantial amount of money.
Very true.
And your kids have to get these things done for you in your timely demise and when you're transitioning. So make it a little bit more smoother for them. And a lot, like I said, men, we do this. I'm a victim of this. I thought the same thing. And this even happened to my sister, you know, my actual sister, you know, where you have to get these things done. And it's such a headache for our kids to get these things done. And we think that these things happen automatically. Even at my job, I didn't know. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I thought I did this. And they said, no, you didn't. I said, I thought that if I called the person, sent them an email, we think things are simple.
Right.
And it's not.
I don't even know where to start with this video. This is such an important video, and I'm really glad I ran into this. Of course, guys, his link will be in the description. I want to start with what he said there in the very beginning, and this is credit to women. One thing women are very good with that men lack, and this is a lack, and men can learn this from women, is diligence, attention to detail when it comes to protecting their assets, resources, specifically keeping receipts. I just had a conversation with a very popular female attorney. You'll get access to that conversation if you're in the community Brew Brothers. If you're planning to get married and you're not educating yourself on different topics when it comes to the legal implications of marriage today, right? You get to decide how you want to live your life. Some of you have chosen not to get married. Some of you still choose to value marriage and you're building up families. That's important to you. You need to know this stuff. If you've been married, this video, this is free game to anybody who's willing to listen. And she said something in that conversation. I'm talking about the divorce attorney, who's also married, by the way, very intelligent woman. But she spoke about how she wishes more men who she represented in court came more prepared. Women are really good at keeping receipts, documents of incidents. And you can sit there and complain about, oh, that's because, you know, they're on whatever you want to conjure up in your mind. When you go and you're dealing with a legal matter, the only thing that matters is the proof. That's number one. Number two, thank God for brothers like this who get online and can share their experiences with other men and say, hey, maybe you might want to go look at situations where you assume because you called in or you filled out the form that it got taken care of or the process is just that simple. You may not know that sometimes you may need to double down, go over some paperwork, call in to make sure that a process was seen to completion. Or sometimes it sounds like some certain processes to get your ex-wife off documentation so that she doesn't have any access to your future resources, because chances are she left you, right? Chances are she was done with you. Now she gets to come back and strip those resources from your family. You might want to go and see if any of those processes to remove your ex-wife off documentation needed you to do it manually and to not just assume that that divorce paper will be enough, right? Let's keep listening.
So do your due diligence. Even if some of you are getting prepared to get remarried to someone, you may want to get remarried. Something may happen to you. You are hindering them from doing what they need to do for you in your transition.
Right.
Whether you get another wife, whether you get, whatever you decide to do, but you're hindering them from doing that. And you're giving a lot of power back to your past, and you shouldn't do that. So I'm asking a lot of men, right? Because we do this, because I talked to my buddy. He said he didn't even think about it. And he looked at some accounts and he realized his ex-wife is off there and he's been divorced for over 10 years from her.
Wow.
And he was like, oh man, I didn't know I put her on there. A lot of us do things and we forget. All right. So I want you to take this information and do something with it and do your due diligence and make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's, because you don't want this to happen to you.
Right.
All right. You don't want this to happen to you. And like I said, even me, I had to look and I'm like, when I was shocked when I seen this, I was like, oh man, it's like 10, 15 different things that my ex-wife is still on that I never thought about.
10, 15, where she has access. And in the case that he was to maybe pass away, she has the right to claim those assets. That's insane. That's insane.
And yes, it's illegal. Yes, it is. But look, man, a person, they don't care. People will cross that bridge when they come to it, type of thing, So please, men, do your due diligence. Go out there, get their stuff done. And trust me when I tell you, you will probably be surprised. All right. You'll be surprised at how much stuff you forgot. And I know, like I said, I know. A lot of times it's a headache and we don't think that it's worth it. Trust me. My buddy's going through it. He's going through it. All the things that his father prepared for is gone. And his mother is remarried to another man. So you have to understand that money is going to another man. And
wow,
not you. And that generational wealth that you wanted to keep for your children as you go and transition is going to another family. If you want to look at it that way, right? Whatever way you need to look at it to motivate you to get up and go get this stuff done, please check this stuff out.
Right.
Even me, I got to take off and get some stuff done. Take care.
This is a very sobering video, because unfortunately for the son who's in this situation, you can imagine, has a great relationship with his father. His father's assuming that everything's been taken care of. I'm divorced. My son is taken care of, right? That's the peace that he probably had, knowing that he'd worked hard and his son wouldn't be left without the benefits of his hard work. He's going to get that wealth that his father worked so hard to pass on to him. Multiple bank accounts, multiple insurance policies, properties, all stripped away. If you're in this situation and this video gave you value, comment down below. I'm curious to know, maybe you've had a situation like this, or you know this happened. Probably seems like one of those situations where it's a well-kept secret amongst women who may be divorced, right? They don't want people knowing about this. And you're not going to get platforms out here. This is why male platforms are so important. You're not going to get platforms out here that are looking out for men so that men can secure their bag. You're not. No one else. And I'm not talking about me. I'm saying no one else is going to look out for you unless if men come together and help each other out, and they can talk, like the gentleman who just shared his experience and situation. And what I really appreciate about men is men can have discussions like this. And though we all have different goals within this space, and I'm talking about the coffee pod when we come over here and speak on dating and relationships, men can typically learn from different people's experiences, even if they may disagree with what that person values. This video, for example, being specifically for men who have been divorced, and sometimes I'll do videos for men who still value marriage. I just like that we can have these conversations without getting too emotional. It happens sometimes in the comment section down below, but too emotional like a lot of the other female channel. So some people responded back to his video. This commenter says, depends on who has control over the death certificate, and it is a crime to withdraw from a financial institution after a person is deceased until everything is in order. She should go. And I don't know what the rest of the comment there read. It just cut off right there. But this person was saying it's a crime to withdraw from a financial institution after a person is deceased. He disagreed. This was his response. Let's check it out.
Yeah, brother, that's not true. And let me tell you why. She was actually on the account. And I actually thought that too. And I called my financial institution and I asked them, I said, well, what if I pass away? Could you know, what happens? And it was like, well, if she's on the account, she gets access to the money. So that's not necessarily true. You have to think about it like this. That's 30 years ago, right? They did things a little bit differently, right? And most men who are provider men, they think even in their death, they have to take care of their wives. I did it. You know, I was in that category. I did it. And hey, man, I'll tell anybody, I thought the same thing too, right? I called around to some places and insurance policies that I had, and I realized that my ex-wife was still on it, even at my job.
And listen, I just want to highlight the difference. He's talking about that was 30 years ago. Men went out of their way to make sure, hey, I want to make sure she's on all my assets. I want you guys to really think about how different things have changed. Back then, men went out of their way to say, I need to make sure my wife is on everything to make sure she's taken care of. Now what is it? Now what does Shisha tell you to do? Sign a prenup.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
That's assuming that you value marriage. And of course, guys, I don't tell you to do anything. I strongly suggest that you take precaution to protect yourself and your assets, and that she also gets that same privilege as well. That's the way these prenups work. All right, especially when they're done correctly. Join Brew Brothers. Hit that link pinned to the top of the comment section to learn more. But I really want to show you guys how the mindset of caffeinated men have changed now when it comes to their approach to marriage. Think about before, it was like, hey, I need to make sure she's on everything, right? She's on the bank account, hey, everything. Make sure she's on everything. Whereas now, that's you look crazy if you're going around like, are you sure you? Yeah, put her on everything. And you're like, okay.
I was like, dang, I thought I did all of this stuff, you know? So it's a spot check. Now we don't live in those same times, but he was a man's man. He put his wife on the deed. He put his wife on everything. And she was on everything 30 years ago. And he never took her off of nothing. I mean, even the retirement and his pension at work, he never did it. And not one time. None of this stuff. You know, he kept her on there. And I understand because I didn't pay attention to it. You know, I didn't look at it until he said something to me. And I took her off a few things and stuff like that. But I didn't know I had to go circumvent the globe to make sure I hit all of this stuff. But when I tell you, this stuff is real, and we have to stay. It's our due diligence to stay on top of ever-changing policies.
Right.
You know, I share with you, I had a Roth that I thought that, you know, that was just laying dormant. And I was like, oh, the kids will get it, you know? And then when I looked at it, my ex-wife was on it. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Where did I pop into the
Hold on. One more time. And a third one.
Kids? And it was like, no, she's not the primary. I was like, well, when did that become a policy? And a lot of times these people change these policies and we don't stay abreast, and they are required to send us the information of any policy change. But how many people really read that?
Right.
Even though I do. And I didn't read it that time. I didn't even pay attention to it. Right. And because I was married when they changed it, they told me they changed this in 2015. I was married at the time, you know, so I was like, why would I even care? But a lot of this stuff you have to do. Even with laying claim to the house, she's on the deed. Men did that. That's what men did back then. You know, I mean, I wouldn't risk it now, but men did that, you know? So thank you, man, for the question. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Appreciate you.
Valuable information, guys, right here. Valuable information. He said, I wouldn't do that now. Now he might be talking about marriage. I think he's also talking about he wouldn't blindly go into a marriage without signing a prenup, which leads me to another point there he made about policies. So first off, I'm not an attorney and this isn't legal advice. I have guys reach out to me and they'll say, why can't I just get married without any legal paperwork? And I want to talk about the changes in policies when it comes to things like retirement plans and accounts. Those policies change. And you know what else can change? Marriage laws, state laws, right? All these policies and these laws when it comes to family court are all decided by an ever-changing judicial system. And it only takes one change for your marriage that's not legal. And by the way, this is just something to keep in mind, not this is what you should do, just something to keep in mind. You're somebody who decides you're not going to get paperwork. You're just going to move in, marry under God. Beautiful. I don't believe the state declares marriage anyways, but you know, you do enter a legal contract when you decide to marry somebody. But let's say you don't decide to sign that marriage certificate and instead you just decide to move in with that person. You raise a family, married under God and everything. The vulnerability in that option, and you have all the options you want and you can decide you're a man, you choose, right? But the vulnerability in that option is the possibility that that state can then turn into a state that respects common law in some capacity. And they may announce that you are in a partnership and that person in some capacity, right? That person may be entitled to some assets. What is less likely to change is a prenup, because instead of having multiple legal representatives to decide on a law, that prenup is a legal agreement that it takes two of you to decide until the two of you decide differently. Of course, this is assuming that that prenup is drafted correctly. So from my perspective, I believe it makes more sense for a husband and wife to agree on a marriage on their terms via a prenup than leaving the possibility for policies or laws to change. This next commenter says, thank you, brother. I'm military and been divorced for 5 years. I have scheduled myself to check and change all of that. This is what he had to say. Let's check it out.
Yeah, bro, let me tell you, this right here had me thinking. I am usually a very leave no stone left unturned. And when it comes down to my boys, I don't want to cause them any struggle, you know what I'm saying? Especially when it comes down to, you know, that and this
respectable
made me look at stuff. And I'm glad, you know, shout out to my boy for sharing it with me, because I left some stones unturned. And I was like, oh man, when I started calling around, I was like, wait a minute, hold on.
Right.
Well, let me get this taken care of. You know, I didn't know you had to go to Social Security Administration and give your divorce decree. You give them a copy of your divorce decree. I didn't know I had to go to VA and give them a copy of my divorce decree. I was like, I thought it was all taken care of, you know, in one shot, you know. And a lot of us men, we call these places and we get these customer service reps and we think that these people are really doing their job when they're just lazy. And I had that happen because I called one and the lady told me that it wasn't taken care of. And I know for a fact I called this particular company. And I'm like, come on, man. So I said, you know what? I'm just going to take off one day and just go get this stuff taken care of, man. I'm a very methodical person. I don't leave things unresolved. And especially when it comes down to my boys, even though I know their mother would never do anything like that, still, you know, that could change, but still it makes it difficult for my sons. And I don't want to cause my sons no harm.
Right.
I got a thing about me. I don't like for anyone to take care of me. And so when it comes down to my sons, I tell them, listen, if I'm below the age of 80 and I haven't taken care of myself, you know, or, you know, I got that garden out there and I'm not eating right, I'm messing up my life and my body, then at no point do I have the right to burden you with my life that I had. I made the choice not to take care of myself.
Wow. There are a lot of fathers who don't share that responsible point of view. And that is powerful right there.
And put me in a home, stick me in a home, and you go live your life. My sons know that. I do not like no one taking care of me. And so to know that, you know, they could be possibly burdened with stuff, even like I said, even though I know their mother would never do that, I have to get this taken care of. I'm very big on that. And that's like a pet peeve of mine. And like I said, it's something that I think all people should do. You should, hey, do a spot check. Because you got to go behind some of these customer service people. Like I said, I called one, and she didn't get the person I called. You know, she didn't do none of the stuff that she was supposed to do, and it's causing me money. You know, even though they had a record of me calling, but the woman didn't do what she was supposed to do, right? And that's okay, man. That's her job. That's not mine. But it's important that all of us do this, and all of us do a spot check and make sure things get squared away and taken care of. Like I said, man, I don't like my kids taking care of me. You know, like I said, I told my son the other day, if I'm under the age of 80 and I didn't do what I was supposed to do, at no point do you stop your life to take care of me. You go live your life. And if I got grandbabies, you definitely don't take care of me. You stick me in a home, you sit there and you let me do it. If I'm not married, if I didn't eat right, if I didn't take care of my body, the only body I have, if I haven't lost the rest of this weight and I haven't done what I needed to do for myself, at no point in your life do you stop it.
Wow.
They know that. And that's just a father in me, man. I'm a father. I'm an active father. I'm the guy who cut the umbilical cord, and I still am there for my kids. And even in death, I do not want my children to take care of me. I do not want to cause my kids no pain. My mother's like that, you know, and that's who I get it from. My grandmother was like that. You take care of me when I can't take care of myself. And when I'm at that point where I'm transitioning in maybe 5 years or less, then you take care of me. But if it's my fault and I have not done what I needed to do for myself, don't take care of me. Put me in a home somewhere, stick me somewhere, and you go live your life, and you come visit me every now and then, you know? But they know how I feel about that. That is, I don't like no one taking care of me. All right? And that's just me rambling, right? This is me rambling, but that's just an anxiety in me. So when I heard this, like I said, I had to share.
All right. Listen, powerful stuff. I'm curious to know, of course. Let me know what you guys thought of the information shared and everything that you heard down below in the comment section. Hit that link, join Brew Brothers. And again, if you're a man who plans to get married, hit that link pinned to the top of the comment section. Specifically, if you're engaged and you know you're about to be engaged and you've got questions, hit that link, learn some things. Appreciate you guys. Till next time. I'm out. Peace.